The Twins cap a sweep with the White Sox, again draw a little bit closer to 500, and are 500 now at home. While you're all getting ready for the Vikings to possibly grab their quarterback of the future, we're here to tell you that things are getting better for the Twins with a trip out west coming up next. This is Locked On Twins.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello again, and welcome back to Locked On Twins. I'm your host, Brandon Warren. You can unfollow me on the tweets at Brandon_WARNEN. Joining me, as he does quite frequently, because that's part of the deal, is Mr. Dave Brown at Answer Dave Brown on the tweets. What's up?
And I can show anybody the deal if they request it in writing.
Yeah, it's like this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of Dave Brown and may not
part of the same deal, yes,
or retransmitted in any form without their express written consent of Dave Brown LLC. Boy, I did that off the top of my head. That was actually pretty good.
You've memorized it. Come on, it's not.
I've been practicing for this for 30 years. Thanks for making Locked On Twins your first listen every day. By the way, we're getting after it a little early today because I want to watch the NFL draft and go to bed at a reasonable time, and the Twins were accommodating in that respect with a good getaway day three-run win, 6-3, second straight day that the Twins have scored 6 runs and given up 3, third straight day that they have scored 6. So a little 6-6-6 action, which
I don't like them messing with the Satanics. The analytics are one thing, but the Satanics, I don't truck.
But hey, they're playing the Angels next, so they'll have plenty of chance to wash themselves.
Jose Pagan doing.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, again, thanks for making us your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. If you're hanging out with us on YouTube, we're very appreciative. Give us a thumbs up, give us a like, give us a subscribe. That goes true for everywhere you are, especially to give us a review. We appreciate that very, very much. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets no matter what. Guaranteed. That's $150 whether you win or lose on your first bet. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. And you can listen to every Twins game with the hometown broadcast. You've got Chris and Danny. You got to remember Chris, not Corey. Corey's doing the TV side. They'll be out west late, and it will be Bailey Ober taking on lefty Patrick Sandoval. So get ready for that lefty lineup that the Twins do every single time they face a southpaw that drives you crazy.
Fan favorite.
Exactly. 8:38 first pitch, by the way. So start drinking the coffee, and I'm already preparing here with this one. But
that isn't even that late anymore. 8:38, that's nothing. That's not even, people, they complain about so many things. That's 8:38, that's a rain delay.
Well, it gets late early for old guys like me. Yeah, so Twins 6+ runs in all 4 games against the White Sox. You can say it's the White Sox, and you're not wrong because it's the White Sox. But, some impressive offense in some regards. I have to be honest with you, though. I was pretty frustrated with the approach against Mike Soroka until back-to-back homers in the final inning there from Edouard Julien and Ryan Jeffers, both absolutely pasted. So I don't know. Am I misplaced? Am I wrong? There was a plate appearance by Alex Kirilloff where he had a center cut slider, first pitch of the at bat, and he hits like an 80-something mile per hour grounder to first base. And I'm just like, is it really going to be that kind of day today?
Yeah, it's slow getaway day game kind of offense, sleepy. I think I've heard players complain before about how they never really wake up for these games, and the Twins have a particularly poor record in them in recent years, just because it's so soon after working the night before. I don't know. I was I was sort of impressed with Soroka until throwing up the zeros, until you pointed out later on after he had left the game that the White Sox had only accumulated. Well, they hadn't swung and missed yet. The Twins had. The White Sox hadn't gotten any swings and misses from the Twins, and only got 4. Did we?
Yep.
For the game.
4. 3 strikeouts total. 2 of them Austin Martin. But yeah, no swinging strikes on 68 pitches for Mike Soroka. No swinging strikes on 8 pitches for Tanner Banks. I mean, not a great little spell for him. And then Jordan Leisure with a leisurely stroll through the Twins lineup on a scoreless inning of 4 pitches, no swinging strikes. It wasn't until John Brebbia came in the 7th inning and got 3 swinging strikes that happened. And I do have some data on that, but just want to get to, first of all, this offense hitting 5 home runs. Carlos Santana must be hearing the whispers about Garrett Cooper because he hits a bomb and he's starting to look a little better. Still not great. He was 1 for 4, but in general doing, a little better job of driving the baseball. He did have a hard hit ball or 2 in last night's game as well. But again, it's
he hit the I mean, I didn't get a velocity on the home run, but it looked hard. It looked, like one of those Carlos Santana home runs that he gets, he's not a 40 home run guy, but he's the kind of guy that for whatever reasons, when he gets a home run, he hits the snot out of it.
105.6. It was 400 feet on the nose, 880 xBA, and a homer in 30 of 30 ballparks.
Yeah, it was a deep drive to right Castellanos for sure.
That'll be a 4-0.
So is Garrett Cooper? Is this a fan? Is this fan fiction or is this?
No, it is.
Okay.
Cooper DFA'd by
because they could have had him if they wanted him instead of in the first place.
Was it the Cubs that DFA'd him?
Yes.
And so
they kind of brought him in late too. He seemed like an afterthought to the Cubs. They had some other guys at first base, so I don't know.
They have Mervis and Wisdom and a few other guys. I don't know who all they want to play over there. Maybe eventually they'll just really lean into it and play Nick Madrigal over there just because it'd be kind of funny. But
and people thought Jeff Bagwell was short at first base.
Hey, Danny Santana hit 30 home runs playing first base for the Texas Rangers, and that sentence gets crazier the longer you read it.
I don't know if that should have happened. I'm not. There could be a Mandela effect, some kind of singularity in the universe going on here. I'm not sure. That dude isn't real.
Yeah, you're not real, man.
So
I confused 2 things there. I confused Creed on The Office with that lady on the airplane. So
that's okay. They're just it's all pop culture references in our brain that are. It doesn't matter where exactly they came from, but they came from somewhere, and people remember them. They remember. I don't know. Did they give Santana an error on that one ball that they should have given him an error on?
Well, it certainly is subject to change. The Twins did have one error. It was on Santana. It was his first of the year, and it was a fielding error. So 1 unearned run charged to Stephen Okert, the Okert Ridge boy, who in general did not look great. Plunked Gavin Sheets to the wind, and meant that
I didn't like that whole sequence because they had Jax warming up with Stewart on the mound, and the Twins scored too many runs, so it wasn't a save opportunity anymore, and Rocco fell into the trap of, all right, well, we don't have to use Jax, even though otherwise they were going to dry hump him. It wasn't like he got the day off. So
he got hot.
He got hot, yes. I like the idea of being aggressive and getting Stewart and Jax into the game, and the Twins bullpen really, overall, Okert has not joined the party yet. But the guys who are there for the most part look terrific. And, 2 of their better, at least Duran, probably their best reliever or second best after Jax, is coming back pretty soon. That's going to be a real strength. It also makes me wistful of, well, it would have been great if they had put some money into a starting pitcher, because if the Twins had put huge bucks into a really good starting pitcher, I would be completely comfortable with where they are right now. I think the offense is coming around slowly. Yep. I think the 3.5 of the starting pitchers are pretty good. The bullpen is just outstanding. There isn't a better bullpen in the league. I don't either. Prove it to me. You can't. So that part's good. But I did not like that sequence. Rocco made an unforced error there, bringing in Okert after he was ready to bring in Jax. Just bring in Jax with a 4-run lead. Just do it. Who cares if he doesn't get a save or a hold? I don't. Just because the White Sox, they're coming down to the last at bat anyway. And they rallied. And they had to bring in Jax, in high leverage and high stress. Yep. And it was unnecessary. Bad Rocco.
Oh, careful. I got the dog under my desk and he's going to hear. Do you think he's being admonished? But similarly along that vein, before we head to our first break here, how about Caleb Thielbar with a clean inning? You know, that development, a lot of people grumbling, oh, why Caleb Thielbar here, as though he somehow has forgotten how to pitch. But I guarantee you by the end of the year, we won't remember that he had an ERA over 11 in the later stages of April.
No, right. He was one of their better relief pitchers last year, and he's a guy they absolutely need to make it work late in the innings. He's better than Okert. He's better than Funder. Is there another one?
Thunderstruck.
Thunderstruck, and there's another lefty somewhere, I think. But he's
Brian Dunsing, I think.
Yeah, Eric. He's better than Eric Milton.
Yep.
He's better than Frank Viola at this point.
True.
So yeah, getting Thielbar going, sort of like getting Carlos Santana going a little bit at the plate, getting everybody contributing a little bit. Now we need to find something for Kyle Farmer to do and have him come through because he's like the lone holdout. But getting Thielbar going into the West Coast is a good thing.
Yeah, no question about it. And also, you got to like the 2:30 getaway day. It's a 2-hour, 30-minute game. And I know old ball writers like Patrick Royce love that. Hey, let's take a quick pause and a word from our friends at DoorDash. When we come back, we'll have some offensive discussion, some White Sox discussion, which is offensive of its own. And then we'll really dive into context about 4 swinging strikes. How rare is that? Because there's some fun data in there. So again, first, a word from DoorDash. This Mother's Day, get something thoughtful for mother on DoorDash. Surprise her from wherever you are with fresh bouquets, the latest tech, gift cards, self-care treats, and more to make her day that much better. You can use the code LOCKEDONMLB, all one word, to get 50% off your next order up to $15 when you spend $15 on your next flour, convenience, grocery, or retail order now on DoorDash. Pair flowers with a gift card so she can celebrate any way she wants. Is she a bookworm? Try a bookstore gift card. Does she love a good latte? You can get her a gift card to her favorite coffee shop. You really can't go wrong. If you know your mom, and you better, you have some options here. Plus, you can get the convenience of shopping on your phone so that you don't have to be the one scrambling, driving around to whatever store is open that will have your mom, that will have something your mom happens to like, possibly. Don't let yourself scramble. Trust me, I've been there. Sorry, Mom. It's a long time ago. Or sorry, my wife in this case. Order now and get everything you need for Mother's Day on DoorDash. Use code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 off your next order. So you get up to $15 off when you spend $15 on your next flour, convenience store, grocery, or retail order now on DoorDash. That's LOCKEDONMLB for your code. Order using DoorDash today. Terms apply. So, Dave, let's dig through some numbers here because there are some numbers and they're interesting. 4 swinging strikes for the Twins, none before the 7th inning. The last time, well, that's the fewest in a game this season. There were 5
by anybody, right? In the league,
any team in the league this year. There have been 5 on 5 separate occasions, and ironically enough, last night the Royals swung and missed 5 times in a 3-2 win. The night before, the Royals swung and missed 5 times in a 3-2 win over the Blue Jays. The Giants swung and missed 5 times in a loss to the Diamondbacks on the 21st. So 4 times in the last 5 days that's happened, and 5 times all season long. There's been, or 6 times all season long. 5 have been 5, and then the Twins with 4 today. Are you keeping up with this? I'm really stumbling. Twins,
I don't know. I've heard worse, Brandon. You're doing fine.
Twins fewest in a game since they were shut out 1-0 on June 24th, 2022 against the Rockies. German Marquez pitched that day. I know they had at one point in that series, Jarrell Cotton faced Connor Joe, and I snapped a picture of the score bug that said Cotton and then the number 1 next to Joe because he was batting leadoff. So it looked like Cotton Eye Joe. And that was
Did you get some likes from that on X?
Yeah, I would say it was one of my better tweets. It wasn't the Castellanos homer recreation, but it's like maybe like a distant cousin. So, yeah, and then the last time the Twins had fewer than 4, they had 2 on May 16th, 2014 in a 5-4 win against Seattle. It was a couple of tall boys on the mound, Chris Young and Kyle Gibson. And Caleb Thielbar pitched for the Twins on that day. So how's that for a little parallel structure?
That's connecting some way back dots there.
Almost exactly a decade less, about 3 weeks.
I want Caleb Thielbar's. I'm sure no one asked him about that today, but I wonder if he even remembers anymore, like a random game from a decade ago. It's like another lifetime.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. So, you were not complaining, but you were sort of complaining about the results that the Twins weren't getting with their swings against Soroka and the White Sox. And, when you're not getting a team to swing and miss, and you're also not walking anybody, you think that the opportunities are going to come. And I think they were patient in a way. Maybe it wasn't patient in terms of drawing walks, but waiting for the right time to strike. I was doing some yard work at the time, listening to Dan Gladden, and it happened suddenly when Julian and Jeffers hit the back-to-back home runs on back-to-back pitches.
They also did yard work.
They did metaphorically, figuratively, if you will. And Gladden was all over Pedro Grifol, the White Sox manager. I thought it was a little harsh, and it seemed for second guessing, but I don't know. Maybe he was thinking about it, and it just happened so fast that it seemed like a second guess. But it seemed like that was part of the Twins' plan, to attack and not worry about missing, because they're not even going to miss your bats. So go up there hacking, and they just finally ran into the right kind of pitches. I don't know. It was kind of a slow boat offense until that inning, but they struck really fast, and it changed. The whole outlook of the game, the whole complexion of the game changed in about 10 seconds.
Not only that, but it was hitters 2-3 in the third time through the order. So, a lot of progressive managers, especially when a starter's not dominating. That happened a lot with the Twins in, I want to say it was 21, when like Dylan Bundy would go 4 or 5 and out. And, he'd give up 1 earned run. He'd have 3 strikeouts and 3 walks, and would be just the most uninspiring 5 innings you can imagine. And then the bullpen would struggle, and fans would be like, well, why didn't you keep in Dylan Bundy? And it's, well, because crap like this happens. He wasn't blowing anybody away. It's always the mentality that the opposite of what didn't work in their minds would have definitely worked. And it's like, no, that's not how any of this works. That's not how any of this works. So I don't know. I mean, Grifol could have been more proactive, but at the same time, too, he's got a bullpen full of guys that he doesn't know who he can trust. Before, he thought he could trust Wilson. Wilson got hit hard in the series. Leisure is probably going to be okay, but you don't know much about him yet. Brebbia, they went 2 back-to-back days, which I thought was a little surprising since he had come off the IL recently. But with a calf, it's not an arm injury, so I guess I don't think it's that egregious. But I just think, he's up the river with pitching decisions where he really can't make the right decision no matter what he does.
I think if there was a move to make, it would have been bringing in Leisure, who ended up throwing a scoreless inning. Bring in a little bit of, it was the 6th, so maybe it's a little ahead of your schedule as far as leverage goes, but
it is 2-3-4 though. It is 2-3-4.
It is 2-3-4, right? So that the timing isn't ideal. Gladden said, this is what Gladden said. I think Gladden said they had a lefty going up. I believe they had Banks warming up, and he wanted to know, well, if you're starting against Julian, start the inning with the left-hander. But at the same time, Atterbury rejoined and said, well, we should maybe credit Rocco a little bit for lineup construction, because he started with Julian, then he had the righty, and the reason that he put Jeffers next before all the lefties was to make the other team make a decision like that, and hopefully make the wrong decision about which lefty-righty, if you're going to go with a change there, to do. So, people biatch about the lineup construction and that Rocco does, but it's not that it was like a genius move. A lot of managers would do it, as we say about a lot of things that Rocco does. But, having Jeffers going well in the 2-hole with lefties surrounding him does give the other manager pause for sure, and is a good way to construct the lineup right now, I think.
Yeah, and you have to account for the fact that they have 2 lefties in that bullpen. I know Tim Hill worked the first 2 games of the series. Actually, no, maybe I'm mistaken. He worked the first and then the third. So
he was at least in there last night. I don't remember if
for some reason I was back to back, but it was Monday and Wednesday.
Well, you're right. You're right too about the White Sox not really having a lot of guys to trust. I mean, Leisure looks like a talented guy. He came over in the deal with the Dodgers in the offseason. With Nastrini, one of the prospects they got in that deal. Actually, it was Lance Lynn last year. So
July.
right. So he looks like a talented dude, but it's and I lost my train on that. So, but
well, do you know who I like from their bullpen?
uh,
Davy Garcia, I thought had really interesting repertoire. The results aren't there yet, and I mean, this is a guy with 80 some days of big league service, so it's not like he's been in the major leagues for a long time. But he'll be 25 here pretty soon. Claimed him on waivers from the Yankees. I thought he had a live arm and some pretty funky stuff.
You can't go wrong. You can't go wrong with a Davy. So,
oh boy. One guy I honed in on before, where I was like, this guy's stuff is nasty, and the results aren't there yet, was Jorge Lopez like 6 years ago. And so, I'm not saying that Garcia has that level of stuff, but it is a little like when they grabbed Keenan Middleton last year, and he had a nice year for them, and it was just like, yeah, the stuff is there. Guy's healthy. All that sort of stuff. I don't know.
And then Keenan complained about the clubhouse culture and how dumb it was, and then they let him go. So don't do that, Davey.
He wasn't wrong, but I also don't think he's healthy. Hey, let's take a quick pause. We'll talk about FanDuel, and then when we come back, I want to talk about Simeon Woods Richardson. Maybe not give him his own entire segment, but boy, the young man was impressive today. But again, first, a word from FanDuel. And our friends at FanDuel are very excited about NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, and baseball getting into full swing. Twins 24 games in, getting ever close to that 500 mark. And boy, I tell you, they are doing what I kind of thought they might, which was try to get into May at 500. If they can go 4-2 on this upcoming road swing through the Angels and White Sox, that would get them there. And it would get them there at 15-15, which honestly, I think would probably be okay. But hey, go back to FanDuel. That's your place to bet on every game. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets, guaranteed win, lose, or draw. You could theoretically say that you think Brock Bauer is going first overall on FanDuel. You'd be entirely wrong. But hey, it's still a first bet, and you get $150. Basically free play. Bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks, all on an app that is safe, secure, and easy to use. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet an automatic win. FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. All right, Dave, we are coming down the home stretch here. We're into the 7th inning stretch, and Simeon Woods Richardson, I thought was quite good. Someone asked me, in fact, it came through on a text, and I copied my answer over to Twitter because I'm not too proud to recycle. That if Woods Richardson got you through 5 and gave you a chance to win, that's all you could really ask for. He went 5 innings, 2 earned, 7 hits, 6 strikeouts, which is a career high, 94 pitches, 66 strikes, only issued the 1 free pass. I would say that qualifies as gets you through 5, check mark, gives you a chance to win, check mark. And, you said off the air that if Louis Varland could produce like this, it would be incredible. But for now, SWR is the guy.
Yeah, it's sometimes maybe we ask a lot of these guys, but maybe it sounds like we're not asking a lot, but it still is a lot. It's still major leaguers that they have to face. So when your 5th starter can go out there and give you 5 or 6 and keep you in the game, I mean, that's really what the Twins need. That's what any team needs. I mean, that's old school, baseball, or at least going back, 2 or 3 decades to, no holes in the rotation. Nobody's going to get your bullpen blown up. The Central is looking a little more competitive than I expected in the preseason with the way the Tigers have started, and the Guardians certainly have started. And the Royals are, we'll see how long all of it lasts and to what degree. But, a win in April is, I don't think we can count on my preseason prediction of the Twins winning the division by 10 or 12 games. And who knows about things like wild cards. You have to kind of grab the division while you can. So, long story short, Woods Richardson did exactly what the Twins needed him to, and kind of what they've been asking out of Varland. But sometimes when you're new, you put that pressure on yourself, and it's not great. Woods Richardson's first appearance last year wasn't awesome or anything like that. It was he's got a little more experience. This experience for him is a little different. They asked him about it in the post game scrum. So does this feel a little different? Does it feel good that you didn't have a meeting with Rocco right after the game?
That was a Phil Miller question. I love
it. Was Phil. Phil, when he talks, good things come out of his mouth usually. But he is, and it was what had to be asked. Do you feel good about you're sticking around? It's not you don't have to go talk to Rocco about how you're going back to St. Paul. And you could see the joy and relief in his eyes. Not that he feels like he's got it made, but he did let down his guard a little bit. His media post-game scrum guard, and you could tell that he felt good, that he looked like he belonged out there and he would be getting more opportunities.
Who comes to mind for you when you think of that no holes in your rotation fifth starter? Because I'm thinking like those brave teams of the 90s. You got like Pete Smith, Kent Merker. Kent Merker was a guest on my previous podcast, that 90s baseball pod with Greg Olson. And that was back in the day where your fifth starter could have a 5.2 or like a 5.0 ERA, and you were A-okay with it. I think now it's probably closer to like a 4.50, but no holes in your rotation is a place to be. Hey, what did you give a grade for SWR? Because I did A-. The only thing that really kept me from an A was he had a couple spots where he just kind of lost maybe his best stuff. And
started hanging some pitches over the strike zone, and
what a great outing.
Sliders that didn't slide as much, or location on fastballs, up in the zone for the breakers. That is not what he wanted in a few cases, but still some good, nice, sharp sink in a lot of places that was encouraging. I'm going to give him a B just because, there's room for growth, but A+ in terms of effort and, idea, and, a B for execution. So, definitely room for improvement, but it's a relief for Twins fans too, to see something like that, because it was kind of, people were sort of dreading the back of the rotation coming up, for a while, and like, what's going to happen today? And, are we going to be able to keep the ball in the ballpark? And it's just, it's huge, because the bullpen is so good that it's a strength, and you don't want to mess that up with, frequently poor starts that eat at the strength of the team right now. And so he gave them just what they needed.
The best bullpen is one you hardly have to use. A for effort and a B for, I guess, execution for SWR today. Sorry, I'm trying to delete that.
You are not.
Ronnie Enriquez sent down to make room for Woods Richardson. I thought Enriquez looked pretty interesting. Like, now that he's on the 40, they had to purchase his contract, and then what did they end up doing? Was it they moved somebody to the 60 to make room, I think?
There have been so many moves lately. I'm losing track, but that sounds right. Yes,
it's hard to recall for sure, but I thought he looked pretty dang good in just a very brief spot duty. Daniel Duarte was moved to the 60.
That's right.
Tommy John. So I thought, though, I'm not saying Enriquez would necessarily be my next man up if everything was going perfectly, because I think Jeff Brigham was that guy for me as far as non-roster guys. But Enriquez, who was on the 40, got taken off, re-signed a minor league deal. I think he's probably enjoying seeing the fruits of his labor rewarded. And the Twins are like, hey, we got another guy we can go to who, at the very least, can maybe fill that role that we thought Cole Sands would do at the front of the bullpen.
I wonder if, we're not quite into trading season yet, but as guys get healthy and 40-man roster crunches, 60-day DL slots become less available and 40-man roster crunch happens. I wonder if at some point there'll be too much depth again, kind of like how we thought maybe it would be with the relief pitchers, and they'll have to make some moves here or there, and we'll see how Santana continues to improve and what Farmer does, and if they need to make some moves there, and they certainly have some resources to do it if they need to.
Yeah, I mean, the 40-man is going to get pretty crowded. You've got Desclafani on the 60, Duarte on the 60, who can stay there. We know they're going to miss the season. You have Royce and Correa on the 10. We don't know about moving Royce to the 60. I don't think it's going to happen. And Correa's return appears to be
soon.
Sounds like he's not even going to go on a rehab, they said on TV. So we'll see about that. Weiss, we don't know much about. Winder, we don't know much about. Those guys are also both on the 60, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they're both on the 60. So you do have.
Were they saying that Correa might be able to play on this road trip? I know I heard what you heard about.
I think they're thinking maybe in Chicago. Or as Corey says, Chicago.
Well, that's how you should pronounce it.
Well, that's his home stomping grounds.
Well,
just
yeah, he should know. That's true. Chicago. But it is Chicago instead of Chicago. You should not say Chicago.
Chicago. It sounds like obnoxious New Yorkers.
I mean, it's people. You can have a Chicago accent and still sound obnoxious, but you should also pronounce Chicago correctly.
All right, well,
live in that world.
Quickly across the board, Guardians win 6-4 over Boston. Jose Ramirez hit a salami, and so that was a thing.
Michael salami sounds good.
Michael Tonkin claimed on waivers by the Yankees, so he's going to keep moving around. And we got Ober Sandoval, Paddock, and Jose Soriano, and Pablo Lopez against Reed Detmers for 3 in LA. A couple lefties, so get ready for that lefty lineup, Dave.
I love it when people complain about that. Is LA a bad place for the Twins? Do they go there and does weird things happen?
I feel like it's not great. It's not Oakland where they've blown big leads and all that stuff, but I think it's West Coast stuff. It's not great.
Well, at least the games are starting before 9 o'clock, so we can't complain about that.
Hey, well, not by much, but hey, that's it. That's a wrap. Thanks for hanging out with us early on this one. This has been Locked On Twins. He's Dave Brown. I'm Brandon Warren. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you tomorrow.